stadium lights, the flippy buzz before halftime. My heart racing like it's 4th and 5 on a Midwest Saturday night.
Welcome back to another episode of Mizzou Storytellers. I'm Dave Matter with Mizzou Athletics, and this is
Loretta Jones, also with Mizzou Athletics.
That's right, and you just heard the beautiful voice of Roman Alexander, and he has big news because his song Missouri on My Mind, he has a new remix out.
Yes, I heard it. So we're going to have to update our intro.
We are. You know, and part of the deal when he agreed to loan us his song for the podcast was that we would have him in here as a guest at some point. So we need to work on that.
Yeah, we probably need to get... We'll add that to the list of people that we need to put on our guest list.
So, Roman, check your schedule, and we'll get you in here. Maybe we can get Mr. David Nail in here also.
Ooh.
He can tell some stories.
Yeah, that could be our country singer edition.
Yeah. And I think they kind of know each other a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like I heard that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I just told you that before we hit record.
I feel like I heard
Were you not there?
Oh,
David Nail and I are friends now. We used to be.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we used to. I think I talked about this on the podcast before, but he wasn't a big fan of Dave Matter, the reporter. But now we're okay.
Dave Matter, the reporter, was ruthless.
I know. I was just so critical all the time of everybody,
and you got that big head, writing a couple books.
Yep. Look at me, and now here I am, very humble and just part of the team.
I've told you the story about how my son saw Roger.
Oh yes,
saw your book,
but share it for the podcast.
Did we share it? I can't remember if I told this story.
It's worth
You've been on so many episodes.
I know,
now.
right?
They all run together.
So we were at Barnes & Noble, and they had a Mizzou display out, and so they had one of Dave Matter's many books that he's authored displayed. And I said, I was like, did you guys see that book? That's Nurse Molly's husband.
Yeah.
Because that's who Dave is in our house. And Roger said, he wrote a book? I said, yeah. He's like, you really wrote a book that they sell here? And I said, yeah. And he said, whoa, he's rich. I said, I'll have to check and see if he agrees with that.
The answer is no. When you write a book, you still get checks like years later, and they send you like the royalties, and it's never positive. So it's
is it one of those like it probably costs more to mail that
check
to you?
Yeah, pretty much. So it's like the numbers in the red.
Money.
Yeah, the numbers in the red. So I'm like, that's not good to see. 47 people bought the book last quarter, but I get nothing out of it. So yeah.
So that's
exciting.
Surprise.
So tell Roger that I'm sorry. I'm rich with stories. I'm not rich with royalties anymore.
So just remember, kids, if you want to write a book, it's not worth it.
Yeah,
so,
well,
I'm just kidding.
It was a great experience.
I'm
the Pinkle book was like the highlight of my life career. Not life. I shouldn't say that. My wife. You didn't hear me say that. With the Nick Saban forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's a good book. It's a good book.
I can't. We need Game Day to come here for many reasons, but just one small one is we need to get the 3 people whose name is on that cover of that book together for like a photo. Maybe we could do like a public reading, like at a bookstore or something.
This sounds like
a podcast, maybe.
Ooh.
Coach Pinkle, Coach Saban, and the guy that wrote most of it.
This is like last year when I finally I got the picture of the Chase trifecta. I got a picture with all 3 Chases in one photo.
Daniel,
Patton,
Kaufman.
Yep.
Wow.
Together. It was.
I wonder how many times they did that, like in their time at Mizzou.
I don't feel like it was as many as you would think.
Yeah.
I feel like it was a lot of 2 of them and not the third.
Yeah, probably.
So.
And not necessarily always the same 2.
Correct.
You had the 2 quarterbacks, and then you had the 2 that played a lot more, and then Chase Patton is still here, and Kaufman's in Kansas City. I'm telling you like you don't know this. Of course you know this.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we're talking football, but today we're talking basketball on the podcast.
Yes, we are.
And we've got first time ever. No, it's not. I shouldn't say that.
Well,
I was going to say first time ever we've had 2 guests, but it's
2
actually
unrelated guests.
Yes, it's the second time we've had 2 guests, but first time they're not married to each other.
That we know of.
I'm pretty sure they're not. But I'm really looking forward to this one because basketball season's right around the corner. And even if it weren't, these are still 2 really interesting people with great stories to tell.
Yes.
So should we just go right into it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
This episode of Mizzou Storytellers on the Inside Mizzou Athletics podcast is brought to you by Sophia's and Addison's Restaurants. Sophia's and Addison's Restaurants are great local spots to visit before or after all Mizzou home games. Addison's has 2 locations in Southwest and downtown Columbia and features over 20 beers on tap, including local brewers and, of course, their famous Nachos Bianco. So remember, before or after the game, stop by Addison's.
Their coaches, their mentors, their fathers, their husbands. One is an Eagle, one is a Salukee. Now they're Tigers. Both are part of Dennis Gates' Mizzou men's basketball coaching staff. They are Charlton C.Y. Young and Kyle Smithpeters, and they are today's guests on Mizzou Storytellers. Welcome to the podcast, guys.
Yes, welcome.
Welcome to Historic Hearn Center.
Appreciate you having us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. We know you guys are busy with practice, ramping up for the season, but we wanted to get you in here because, we want to learn more about your story, and we want our fans to learn more about who Kyle is and who CY is, and that you guys have been here for season. This will be season 3, but you both come from different backgrounds. You're here together, which is, I think, the beauty of sports, is you can bring people together that come from different parts of the country and parts of different basketball histories. But now you're here together, so we thought it'd be perfect to have them at the same time.
Absolutely.
Even. Yeah.
Well,
All right.
I think the one thing about it, working with CY, I got his office to my left, I got Dickie to the right, and my cheeks hurt, all day long. I just sit there and try to get work done with his Comedy Central. I get free comedy every day, so it's very hard to be in that office and not have a smile on your face. I'll say that.
I can imagine. So we kind of do this like sort of biographically. So I guess we're going to try to tell your stories at the same time together, if that makes sense. And maybe it'll just be a big mess, but we're gonna try
make
our
it
best.
work. Yeah.
All right, so let's start with CY. You are from Miami, Florida.
Miami, Florida.
Did you born and raised? Is that where
Born
you
and
call
raised,
home?
Born and raised Miami, Florida. Grew up right across the street from Dolphin Stadium.
Wow. Okay.
Used to park cars in my yard for big Monday night games. I'm a true Dolphin. So
Nice.
Yeah. And Kyle, you're from Central Illinois. Is that or
Southern
Illinois?
Grew up for about 12 years on a farm in McLeansboro, Illinois, and then thank my dad every day for getting rid of that farm and getting back into education. That's tough living. God bless him. And then we moved to Harrisburg, where I finished up my junior high school career. Moved on from there.
So slightly different
little bit.
parts
Slightly,
of the country.
yeah, a little bit. I didn't have the Dolphin Stadium in my backyard. So.
What did you farm?
We had everything. I mean, we had grain, we had cows, we had horses, we had all of it. So my dad actually started working on that farm when he was 6.
Wow.
He said his first day his dad put him to work, and he hit 40, 41, said, I'm ready to make a change. And so he went back, finished his master's, and got into education. So buy him lunch about every time I see him for that. So, yeah.
I've never been on a farm a day in my life. I've seen cows on TV.
There weren't cows just roaming around in Miami?
You know what, though? If you're going down County Line Road, sometimes you see like 3 cows in the field. I don't know why. You know what I mean? I had a grocery store called Winn-Dixie. I don't know if they had them out there, but not many farms in Miami, Florida.
Yeah, okay. So how did basketball enter your guys' lives as a child, I imagine, but how did it become part of kind of your identity and your background?
Well, I think for me, basketball was a way to get out of inner city Miami. My family wasn't wealthy. I had a baby sister.
Mm-hmm.
My parents told me earlier they had to pay for her to go to college, and you a man and you got to go get a scholarship. So 5th, 6th grade, I started playing every day and kind of knew that basketball was going to be the way I was going to pay for my education and kind of get out of Miami, Florida.
Mm-hmm. Well, you, Kyle, it was kind of in your genes with your dad as a coach, right?
Yeah, definitely. I grew up at a young age, in the gym. Obviously on the farm. He was an assistant coach at McLeansboro at the time. So we'd farm during the day, practice, farm in the evening. Kurt Reed, David Lee, all those guys, very thankful for teaching me how to work a score clock at a very young age of 5, 6, 7 years old. But just enjoyed the camaraderie, enjoyed the teaching. A lot of different young men I got to watch as I grew up from a very young age, and just kind of grasped me, how meaningful it was to watch my dad, these other coaches, make changes in these young men's life. And, from a playing standpoint, similar to CY, I was the oldest of 6, we had a single income household at the time. And, the one thing that, I definitely could get my college paid for was going to be through athletics somehow, some way. So that was kind of the driving force behind that. And honestly, just setting a great example for those other 5. Just wanted them to see, hard work, perseverance, those type of things to drive yourself into something you probably shouldn't be able to achieve.
Yeah, well, and to piggyback off Kyle, and you said it earlier, basketball saves lives.
Yeah.
Literally. Staying in the gym, staying out of bad situations, keeps you from being at the wrong place at the wrong time. That can happen whether you're in Miami, Florida, or you're in southern Missouri.
Yeah.
But the lessons that you learn from it, you apply them to your life. I learned the power of preparation. I learned how to handle adversity. I learned how to be confident in myself. Everything I've learned to make it in life, I've learned in between the lines on Risco Park, on Bunch Park, on Scott Park. These are the big basketball parks in inner city Miami. And now I have 4 children, and all 4 of them play basketball.
Yeah.
And it's not because my wife and I are psycho parents that want them to make it to the NBA. It's the only way we know to teach them life.
Yeah.
So it really is a beautiful thing, whether it's southern Missouri or Miami, Florida.
Yeah.
Was it always basketball for both of you? Did you guys try out any other sports?
I actually was a better football player.
Really?
And I actually was a better cross-country runner than I was basketball. I fell in love with basketball. Football and cross-country came natural to me. Basketball was something I fell in love with because Miami Carroll City Senior High School was a national powerhouse in the 1900s. Like 85 to 89. I mean,
like the early 1900s.
Yeah, the early 1900s. We played against Abraham Lincoln, but so basketball was so good, so big at my neighborhood high school. It was just my dream to wear the Miami Carroll City Senior High School jersey and play for the legendary coach in the state by the name of Ernie Bell. So that's kind of how I fell into it.
Yeah, I mean, I lettered in 4 sports in high school, track, baseball, football, and basketball. Football by far is probably my best sport, I felt. Enjoyed it, loved it. But, being in the gym all the time, seeing it every day, just felt basketball was just the true passion, the true love. And, you're only going to be good at something if you love it. And, it was definitely where, my heart was. And growing up in McLeansboro, Illinois, Jerry Sloan, that's his hometown, Chicago Bulls, Utah Jazz. So it was kind of ingrained early on of being a basketball guy, whether you were or not. So that's just kind of what you strove to be, really strived to be, was to be a basketball player. But, in all essence of it, though, too, just the experiences of all the sports. I got a great experience of different coaches, different coaching styles, to those different sports. I mean, even in baseball, playing for, Coach Thompson, Coach Way in football, it just really felt like I had a very good base, that would allow me outside of just even my father in basketball growing up to be, one day, hopefully a college basketball coach. So I was very fortunate for those experiences.
See, I was just looking up at like the alums from Miami Carroll. It's like a star-studded high school.
Oh yeah, it was a national high school in football and in basketball. I mean, everybody was going Division I, winning state championships in both sports. And in the early '80s and late '90s, if you played there, you were like a rock star.
Yeah.
Whether it was football or basketball. And I'm 53 years old now, and I go home to recruit. I recruit the state. I have people come up to me all the time saying, "Hey, I saw you play in the state tournament, or I saw you play in the City of the Palms," or it was a big time.
Yeah, you even have some hip hop stars from Rick Ross.
Yeah, Rick Ross, Carol
Flow
City
Rida.
guys. Yeah, all of them from what we call the Pink Apartments, the neighborhood. So it's a lot of big time football players and.
A lot of talent.
Yeah.
Just a lot of talent.
Yeah.
Miami is a different vibe. It's a different place, and very proud of. I actually grew up with Luke Skywalker and JT Money and the Poison Clan, and these guys were like in school with me. Like, and they were crazy then.
Yeah. Kyle, who were the most famous hip hop stars from Harrisburg?
Man, we're still working on that. So, you know, we got
to be some country singers.
Man, you know what? We had David Lee Murphy was about 35 miles up the road. So, yeah. His brother, Mike, is a good friend of mine, did commentary actually for the games at Logan.
Okay.
So, yeah,
okay.
so a little dust on the bottle.
There you go. There you go.
You know, and honestly, though, that's the neat thing to me with this, you know, just the camaraderie of coaching. Like, you know, you get to work with a guy of you know, Coach CY's background, hear all the Miami stories and see all the things and the diversity of it. And, you know, it's something that always attracted me into this business. It's just, you know, you're growing up in rural Southern Illinois and you're just not going to get a lot of that, man. It's a bubble.
Yeah.
You know, you got to pop the bubble. You got to find ways to get outside of it and see other things. And I was fortunate enough to be raised by two parents that, you know, were very open-minded with things. So, but that's, it's been a blessing to meet the people along the path that we have. You know, get a few laughs out of it, a lot of laughs every day what I'm getting right now. But, you know, it's just been a joyful journey.
Yeah.
And basketball really does just, it races out the window. You know what I mean? When, you know, everybody's on the same team or you're cheering for Missouri, we all Mizzou. And that's the beautiful, beautiful thing about athletics.
Yeah.
Well, and you guys have, I've already said it, you have such vastly different backgrounds. You then had very different playing career paths as far as like where you went, where you played. At what point did both of you decide that coaching was the next step? Because not every player can coach, and not every coach was a good player. So, like, at what point did you guys decide that's what I want to do?
Yeah, when I wound up going to France and playing after I finished at Georgia Southern, had a really good career.
Yeah, kind of. Not too bad.
And you know, I knew I was going to coach, but I didn't think I would coach as soon as I did. And I went over to France when it was pre-internet. There was no Skype, no email, no nothing. So, you know, I'm making like 80, 90 grand, and my first phone bill is like $3,000.
Oh my gosh!
I was calling my kindergarten teacher like, "Do you remember me?" Like, you know what I mean? Like it was, you know, it was like, and being over there by myself. Now, if I would have gone now, when you got Facebook, you got Instagram, you can just call on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Like, I'd probably still be over there playing pro ball and be an agent. But I realized how important my family was following me, playing was to me. So when I came back from France, I said, you know what? I saved me about $60,000. I bought me a Mitsubishi and a Biggie Smalls CD. I was about to retire. I thought I was rich. And I said, I'm going to take a year off. And the guy who recruited me, named Robbie Lane, God bless him, I love him, taught me everything I know as a coach. He's now an assistant at Central Florida. I was in Europe. When I came back, he said, listen, I don't want you bouncing around overseas.
Yeah.
I think you're a coach. And I got a job for you here at Auburn. It was $18,000 in the dorm room. And I said to myself, okay, I'm going to just try this for 1 year. I didn't like France. I didn't like the food. I thought the French people were rude. So I said, I'm going to go to Australia for like 60. And but I'm going to do this for 1 year just to get something on my resume, and I'm going back overseas. And at the end of that year, Cliff Ellis said, hey, it can't happen. Whatever I got to pay you to stay, I need you here.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, he was like, what do you think? I was like, 70. He said, done. I said, I could have got 100. Yeah. But that's how young and 31 years later, here I am talking to you. So,
well, you had more take-home pay because your phone bill was probably lower.
right. So. And at the time, I was living in the dorm with the players. I was like RA. You know, I ate in the cafeteria for free. My cable and phone bill was free. But then he gave me 70, a Malibu, and a pager.
There you
first
go.
Job, I thought I was rich.
Doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
So
pretty
I just kind
great.
of fell into it. I think, you know, when you're growing up, you think you're born to play. And I always thought I was going to the NBA. As an NBA point guard, I was born to play. But once I started coaching, I realized I really was born to coach.
Yeah.
It was just something I was naturally being able to connect with the players, to find a crazy way to get them to recognize what I was trying to teach them. I just had a gift for it.
Yeah. Yeah. When did you get the coaching bug? I imagine when you're growing up in a family with a coach.
You did. I always enjoyed the camaraderie, quite honestly, David, but never really thought about the coaching until I got in college.
Yeah.
Changed my major twice from, start out pre-chiropractic. I was going to go be a chiropractor. That's what I wanted to do. But I needed my school paid for. Those classes were getting way too hard for me to keep a scholarship. So I changed and went from business to education. But after being in a college environment, honestly, being around 15 guys that wanted to play basketball, seeing how much influence that Coach Franklin at the time, his brother also was Greg Franklin. They had it on these kids and the direction they're changing their life that really, helped me. Then going to SIU with Coach Lowry, seeing what he was able to do and winning all those games. I mean, it was like a drug almost. You're seeing all this effect you're having on people, and you just wanted to be, part of that. And similar to CY, my playing career was not as extensive, so scored a lot less points than this guy here. He can still score it now too. Don't let him fool you in the noon ball game. You'll be buying him lunch. But I took that next year and just decided, I'm going to give this thing a shot. And I actually volunteered. Todd Franklin let me volunteer. I worked the fitness center from 6 in the morning to 12 that afternoon while I student taught. And then his practices, I'm not going to say how long they were, but there's rules now and regulations for this stuff. But was with him and grateful for that opportunity, and really grateful for Mark Hemhoff giving my first full-time job that very next year down the road, and learning a whole lot from him. So that was kind of just the beginning of it. But no different than CY, just kind of fell into it. And it took some really great people, giving the opportunity and pushing through, because it's not an easy profession. It's not an easy business to even get into, but you got to be a survivor too. There's a lot of days you wake up and you're like, man, this is, it's tough. And you got 15 young guys. And the thing is, why they're getting younger, man. I don't know. I should say we're getting older. They're staying the same age, right? I mean, it's a few more gray hair. Holy cow. But, it's just one of those deals where it is very, very vastly rewarding, to see these guys now that have their families, they have children, they got jobs, and to know that something you said or did when they were 17, 18, 19 years old put them on a path of that success is very rewarding.
Yeah. Kyle, your playing career, now you transferred to Southern Illinois.
Yeah.
And that was you played 2 NCAA tournament teams.
Back when they still won games.
Yeah, and you didn't play a whole lot though. So what was that experience like, being part of a really good program that was used to playing in a custom and expected to play in March, but you had a reduced role?
Well, and it's a great question, and actually I'm thankful for it, because through my college career I was able to experience every facet of it. I came off the bench, I had a red shirt due to an injury, went to SIU and waved the towel like a steady veteran, and but it allowed me to honestly have a mindset of an individual player that I would be coaching at some point. So each and every person, I can sit there and say, I've been in your shoes.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to wait for that opportunity to play. I know what it's like to be in that starting role and have to be able to make the plays and have that pressure. I know what it's like to sit there, man, and just be a really good teammate. That you got to encourage. So I was very thankful for that. I mean, everything's an experience, everything's a learning lesson. It's not always about being able to be the star. Be like, what does your role fit? And I've always felt that's been something that has really kept my eyes open, of just not coming. I think sometimes too many people come in and try to be a wrecking ball with ideas and try to change things new. Like, where can you fit in, and what can you visually see and adjust in a gradual way, as opposed to just come in, it's got to be my way or the highway. And it's just not how the real world honestly works to be successful. People can do it, but it's very hard to not have that, just that headbutting. If you can avoid that, and, you can really have a lot of success and a lot of progress along the way.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've thought about that before, about how some people wonder why like star players don't necessarily translate into great coaches, and sometimes maybe they can't relate to the guys at the end of the bench. But that's an interesting perspective for you, that you were able to be able to. You've walked in those shoes before, where you're waving the towel.
It helped, and Coach Summers and I, we joke about it, because my last game that we played, he was actually at West Virginia.
Okay.
So I don't know who played more minutes that game, him or I, but it was very close in that 3 or 4 range. But we talk about that, and even at SIU with that, in a paraphrase, we won a lot of games back then. I mean, it's very hard to reach that status now as a mid-major program, and what we did there was it was really special. I mean, 7, 8 straight NCAA tournaments at the time. I mean, it's very hard to replicate that in the modern era game of basketball, when you're getting multiple 21 seasons and multiple tournament appearances.
That point that you just made is a great point. I think about that a lot. I've been thinking about doing some type of dissertation or case study on that. Like, Michael Jordan could never be a coach.
Yeah.
You know, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, they tried it for a split second and they got out of there. You know, I experienced that as a young head coach and CEO at Georgia Southern when I went back to my alma mater.
Yeah.
The things that make you a great player is not the same ingredients that make you a great coach. To be honest with you, is opposite.
Yeah.
You know, what makes you a great player is just the impulse and the bravado and the confidence and the passion. But what makes you a great coach is being meticulous and detailed and having total control of your emotional intelligence. So a guy like Michael Jordan or a guy like Larry Bird, they just don't have the patience to develop a guy that comes. You know what I mean? They expect people to do what they
don't know how to explain to somebody else how they know what to do.
You should
naturally.
be able to just do it. Just put it in the hole.
Yeah.
I'd have had 40 right there. What are you doing? Just shoot it. But some people have to be developed in coaching. It goes in steps.
Yeah.
So that's a great point.
And
but Kyle is a future Division I head coach. He was born to coach. He had to coach. He got great coaching voice, Billy Donovan, you know, or he could have been on like The Price is Right with Bob Barker.
Probably more money. Yeah.
But his voice, his coaching voice, his presence is very, very good, and we're fortunate to have him on our staff.
Yeah.
He's really, really good.
Yeah.
Well, you both hit the nail on the head, though, that building relationships is probably one of the biggest aspects of coaching. You know, developing the relationships with the players and getting them to buy in and to trust you and to trust your vision. So when you guys both went from playing to coaching, what was the hardest part of that transition?
I think the hardest part of the transition was realizing you really had to give the game up. That's the you know, when you first get into coaching, you know, we're watching Trey Gamillion go through that right now. He's going to be a great coach, but he struggles with, man, I should be out there.
Oh
Yeah.
Right? You gotta get over that, or if I hadn't got injured, or I should have signed with this team. And then I would say the second toughest thing is just the patience that you gotta have to teach and develop. I think you gotta learn that. I think the great coaches, they push and they prod, but they're patient with the development of their team.
No, that's very well said, and I think a large part of it is just, and you got to have grace. You got to be able to give grace, and I think, you know, being able to work with a lot of people. I mean, if this is a level that, you know, everyone strives to be at, there's a lot of smart people, a lot of very intelligent people, and you cannot let pride, you cannot let ego get in the way if it's not your idea. You know, the ability to work with people and work with people well, I think is a great tool. And a lot of my friends in this business, I know CY's got, you know, way more than you might, but the guys you see make it are guys that are willing to put some of that ego to the side to allow this to be successful.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the most important things with that. And obviously that comes with what CY is saying is patience. You know, that patience side of it is hands down the hardest thing to do, but yet the most productive thing anybody do is the patience and grace, you know, in this business.
CY, back to your career steps. You're an assistant Auburn, Jacksonville, Northeastern. You're all over the place. Back to Auburn, Chattanooga. I don't think I memorized this. I'm reading. Georgia Tech.
I was impressed.
Georgia Tech.
Hanging outside your house. I don't know what you've been up to.
And then you get the job at your alma mater. It's got to be the dream. And it doesn't always work out for everybody, especially it can be hard when you get a head coaching job at your alma mater. We see a long list of guys. It just doesn't always work out. But what was that experience like for you, and how did it make the coach you are today?
It was amazing. I wouldn't trade the whole experience for anything in the world. I view those 4 years as a putt that was on the edge of the cup that I was jumping up and down, go in. It was so close. You know, year 3, I was coach of the year in the Southern Conference. And had the first ACC win in the history of the school. We, you know, Virginia Tech paid us like $100,000, and we go over there and beat them. It was unbelievable. And then the next year, I had 2 players get caught cheating on tests, and we didn't have quite the year that we had the year before. So we were 14 and 17, 7 and 11. And then I get a new AD and a new president. And, you know, it's the business. You know, people want to go with their own hires. So, you know, I love everybody. I ain't mad at nobody. I'm not trying to fight. I understand that I was 37 years old. I was the youngest Division I head coach in the country at the time. Yeah. I got a chance to cut my teeth as a head coach and a CEO. It's made me so much of a better coach. Yeah. Do I wish that putt would have fallen in? Of course. Right. But I'm a firm believer that God works in mysterious ways, and that what God has for you is for you. I also believe that people who live in the past, they live in depression. Mm-hmm. You know, I think people who live in the future, they live in anxiety. And the people who are successful, they're at peace and they live in the now. So, you know, I get up every day. I come hang out with this guy. I have a good time every day. Like you know, I feel bad. I have so much fun. Like Coach Nutt says, you know, they pay us for this. Yeah. He says that when he comes in the office. Yeah. Yeah. So those 4 years were very pivotal. I think the success we had at Florida State, me leaving Georgia Southern and as a head coach and going to Florida State, a lot of the lessons that I learned on the job, I was able to apply and help in building the new bloods. And we went to, you know, Dennis was there, Coach Hamilton. We went to 3 straight Sweet 16s and Elite 8, ACC regular season title. I was able to really help that program and Coach Hamilton because of the things I learned. You really got to study leadership. Yeah. You know, leadership, the word evolution is very, very important. Technology in the world is going so fast, sometimes leadership can't keep up. Right. And I think one of the biggest things I learned was evolution. You got to evolve with the game. You can't do things because that's the way we've always done it. Yeah. Yeah. You know, your evolution has to be at the speed of these iPhones. Sometimes I look at my iPhone and I get so mad at my Wells Fargo app because they say, if you don't get rid of this, it's going to not work. I'm like, I like this one, but you got to update your apps. Yeah. You got to update them. Right. And if you want to look at your account and pay your bills, you got to update your apps. And that's the way coaching is. And I think Dennis Gates is one of the best in the country at that. He's always looking at, okay, what's the new, better way that we can do this to relate to these young people.
Mm-hmm. How did, just going back one step, how did you not become bitter? How did you stay positive? Because it's your alma mater. Come on. Yeah. Give me the benefit of the doubt here.
Number one, it was very, very hard. Carolyn Young, my wife, helped me tremendously during that time. Yeah. Because to be honest with you, I was devastated. It wasn't, you know, I was the last one to take him to the NCAA tournament. Mm-hmm. Great player comes home.
Your numbers in the rafters.
Well, they just did.
Well, now it is now.
But I was in the Hall of Fame.
Right. Yeah.
I had gone in the Hall of Fame when they hired me, and so in my mind, all I had was CY comes home and takes us back to the NCAA tournament. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The way we used to be. So when it didn't materialize the way I thought, we were so close, I was in shock. But I think the best thing I did was I didn't sit out. I left that opportunity and went straight to Florida State and started working. Yeah. So I was able to heal. And then I started realizing the people of Georgia Southern didn't fire me. It was that administration. Yeah. And they have a right to do what's best for them. That's just college athletics. So obviously you got to win. You got to win big. I took over 3 scholarships taken, an academic scandal, and probation. Probably shouldn't have taken the job, but was doing them a favor because it was my alma mater. Yeah. And it was a dark time, and I gave them some life. So they gave me an opportunity to be a Division I head coach. They're hard to get. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm happy, and it made me a better coach and a better man, to be honest.
I think it's just a powerful perspective to be able to come out of that and talk about it in terms of, hey, this has made me better.
Right, and that's not always the case.
Yeah.
No, it really did. And I tell people this all the time. You know, young people, when they want to go around the corner, they Google it. They want to boil an egg, they Google it. You can't Google experience.
Yeah.
There's some things that you can't get until you go through it. And so being able to go through the fire and learn on the job, man, it sharpens you.
Yeah.
You know, it really sharpens you. So,
Tiger fans, say aloha to Hawaiian Bros, where the island-inspired flavors are positively delicious. You'll love favorites like huli huli chicken, luau pig, and the delectable Dole soft serve. Hawaiian Bros, just south of campus on Grindstone Parkway, or order at hawaiianbros.com.
Kyle, you had a slightly different path. I mean, you had 10 very successful years at John Logan. How easy was it to decide to leave that all behind for a P5 school?
Well, you know, the thing was going from, and I was very thankful for my time at Logan. Greg Sterrick, phenomenal. I mean, very few people get to have an AD that's a basketball guy that, you know, is a, you know, free throw guru per se, you know, but was lucky to have Greg there with me. But honestly, it was one of those things that I always felt as long as I was continually getting better, you know, I think sometimes comfort can be the worst addiction. Yeah. And once you feel yourself in a routine, feel comfortable, like that's the easy time, right? That's we had things rolling. We were pretty good. But, you know, when I was at Missouri State and left there to take the head job there, I got questioned left and right. What are you doing? Why you're at Division I? And like, you know, I wanted to learn. Much like CY said, I wanted the experience. Like I'm at the time one of the youngest Division I assistants in the country, and I wanted the head coaching experience because I sit there and watched all these other young guys struggling with certain things. I'm not going to allow this to be me. I want to learn, and if it's 15 years, 5 years, 3 years, you know, I was very lucky to have great people, a great administration, a lot of support, a lot of really good players. That helps, you know. But you know, all in all, it was a great experience, and I think there's, you know, I've said it over and over again. I was happy. I was very happy. We had great babysitters down the road, so free ones, and you know, that had to be. So we had to convince the babysitters of why we were doing this. But you know, the thing about it, Dennis Gates was probably one of about 2 guys that I'd actually worked for. I was happy doing what I was doing. We had guys going straight to the NBA, guys going 4 years, you know, Power 5 conference, and going in, and you're affecting lives in a great way and still being able to learn. But I'd known Coach Gates for the better part of 15, 16 years at the time. We met when we were both young assistants, a lot less gray hair then. But you know, he was just a guy that stood on his values, and I knew that from day one. Yeah. And he cared about his kids. You know, anything he said he was going to do, was going to do. And that's the type of program I wanted to be with. I knew if those were his values, he was going to bring other people along, you know, that were going to be the same way.
Right. Yeah.
And obviously growing up in Southern Illinois, we had a lot of Missouri sports, you know, right there. It wasn't, we obviously had the Illinois-Missouri rivalry at all times, knew all about Norm Stewart. You know, a lot of those games were on Saturday mornings. So knew what the tradition was and what the expectation would be, you know, at Mizzou, and that had a large aspect of it too. So I was very thankful for that. But no, easy? No. But, you know, Coach Gates made it easier, you know, just by his character and by, you know, what his demeanor is.
One thing that's interesting about your staff is, and when you include Coach Nutt, obviously, there's a lot of former head coaches out there on the court in practice, and that I think that's a tribute to Coach Gates, because maybe a lot of head coaches wouldn't want that because I'm the guy. I don't need to hear how they've done it before. But that's the opposite with this staff. What is that dynamic like, having so many people out there that have run their own program before?
I think it makes us a very powerful staff. I think that Coach Gates has a tremendous amount of humility and understands that he can't do it by himself. I think that's what makes him so good. I think that's why he shot up the ladder so fast at Cleveland State. And then obviously year one, to be honest with you, with the chemistry we have, is really easy because we just kind of play off each other all the time, and everybody believes in each other so much. It's been really, really special. Obviously year two, the injuries and everything wasn't what we wanted to be, but year one, everything we touched turned to gold. Yeah. And a lot of it had to do with the chemistry of our staff. So moving forward, we feel really, really good because of the wealth of experience on our staff.
Mm-hmm. Kyle, do you have to shift your mindset when you go into the gym and you're not the head coach, or do you still kind of treat the game, the day the same way?
No, there's adjustment for sure. Mm-hmm. And I think the biggest thing too is just observing, and see why I hit it. But the humility side of it, just go in with a lot of humility. You're not there to prove yourself. You're there to help. I think there's a big difference in those two things. When you feel comfortable and you have people around you to make you feel comfortable, you don't feel as if there to prove. I feel too, in that aspect, Dave, you brought up about being a head coach. I remember Coach Gates in the process of talking about that. His two criteria were head coaching experience and NBA players. And he goes, and obviously every single person on that staff had the head coaching experience and had players that played at the level all our players want to get to. But I do think when you walk in there every day, it's not just about, trying to be the dominant one. I feel very comfortable that someone's going to cover my weaknesses. That's the big thing I think of it is, if I'm going to miss some, I know good and well CY, Dickey, we got Rob now, and obviously Coach Gates. We're there to fill in the gaps, for Coach Gates or whatever his ideology or direction is of that day. And I think there's a lot of that because of how much we spend with the relationship side of with the players, with each other, and just the amount of humility we're able to go in there. Because, hey, we'll, as CY would say, we'll tussle now. We'll have some ideas thrown back and forth that, hey, you better believe in it, but that's how the best idea comes forward. Yeah. We're just going to sit there and be yes men. That's not why, Coach Gates had us come along. He wants the confrontation of an idea. So, therefore, the best idea for the group, the best idea for the staff is going to be, come to the top. Yeah. And we've wrestled around with things. We've sat in that room till God knows when at night. Yeah. And, I bowed out sometimes pretty quick of it. Like, all right, your idea wins. That's cool, But, it's one of those things that's how you come up with the best strategies. Yeah. And then you leave it in the room. You know what I mean? It can't be one of those things. I'm not going to lunch today because they didn't take my. You just got to be able to, work very well with a large group of people and not take things personal.
Uh-huh.
Well, and that's where experience comes in. You know what I mean? Because when you experience like Kyle and Coach Nutt, and our young guys are really, really good too. Ryan Charball and Matt Klein, both are going to be Division I head coaches. But when you have experience, you understand. Okay, two things can be true.
Yeah.
That's where staffs and people get in trouble. Just because Coach Gates decides to do it this way doesn't mean that Coach Smithpeters or my way of doing it was wrong.
Yeah.
It's just that what Coach Gates is more comfortable with, and we understand that our job is to help Dennis Gates implement his vision, not our vision. And I think that's where the experience comes in. I'm excited because I've been doing this 31 years, and I've studied success and the best staffs. And I won't bore you with a bunch of them, but I'll use the Florida Gators as an example.
Sure.
Billy Donovan won 2 straight national titles. Mm-hmm. Well, if you look at his staff, Anthony Grant was the head coach at Alabama. Mm-hmm. Donnie Jones was the head coach at Central Florida. And Pelfrey was the head coach at University of Arkansas.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you understand the staffs that win a national title have great staff and Division I head coaches on the staff.
Yeah.
You can go back to Herrick and UCLA. When they won it, you had Mark Godfrey, who wound up being the head coach at Alabama. You had Lavin, who was the head coach a bunch of places.
Mm-hmm.
St. John's, UCLA.
And then you had Lorenzo Romar, who was the head coach at Washington. That was a power staff.
Yeah.
So I look at our staff, and that's what I see, a future national championship staff. So, it's exciting to be a part of it. I'm blessed. I'm fortunate. I wake up every morning and I thank God. I'm like, man, I'm with Dennis Gates and this staff at Mizzou. I hit the lottery.
Yeah.
And CY brings up a great point with that. And it's not just about having them, but it's the replacements are the hard thing sometimes. And you look at Billy Donovan's staff, you talk about the replacement with Richard Pitino coming right in when the Pelfrey leaves and so on. You look at how it trickles down. And, for 10 years I sat there at Johnny Logan with these programs from all across the country coming in to recruit my players, seeing how they recruit it, seeing their pitches, seeing their PowerPoints, their Zooms, and gathering this information. And much like CY said, of the studying, You know, it was a great classroom for a decade to sit there and watch the best of the best come through and recruit our guys and what works and what doesn't. And I'm very thankful for that. But that's exactly what, you know, I think the nail on the head is the fact that all those guys on that staff have had success. They have the experience, they have the humility, and they're able to move, you know, forward knowing that the best thing is the vision of the head coach. And that is hands down been the best thing that I've seen with the most successful staffs. From North Carolina to Florida, you know, from Arizona, all of them, they've been in my gym. I've seen it. And it's very interesting how all those successful programs operate in a very similar manner compared to the ones that aren't operating at a very high level. You know, it's very much individualism. It's very much the way that even they speak, you know, in regards to their program. It's almost as if, you know, they're expecting the success at Carolina, Florida, Arizona, and so on at the time because, hey, you know, it's going to work out because we're going to make sure it works out.
Right.
And that's where you want to get to and what you want to have.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Well, and so we've talked about your journeys and your coaching journeys and the ups and the downs and how things have pivoted. Where in those journeys did your wives come into play? Like, when did you guys
every single step of the way?
Yeah, it's a long step. God bless her.
No, I mean, if you're gonna be in coaching, you got to have one heck of a head coach and CEO at the house.
Yeah.
And you know, Carolyn Young has been that for me. Miss Smithpeters, I watch her with young kids. She's amazing. Like, if you're gonna be in coaching and do it at a high level, you got to have a real head coach and CEO at the house to help you keep everything organized and flowing, and to make sure that you put that family first. You know, that's one thing I'm very proud of Dennis Gates. You know, we're both off the J. Leonard Hamilton tree, and that was something that he preached. You know, he wants wives and kids in the office, and we have a ton of functions at his home and at each other's houses, and we're all in the office together. Our wives and kids are all very close. Coach Gates has done a phenomenal job of fostering that relationship. But you can't be successful in coaching if you don't have a wife and family that's backing you. It's just too much stress. Too many. Sometimes the only people that's gonna love you is your wife. you lose a big game and they all you got. So
well, I have to ask though, because Carolyn had a tremendous career herself.
No doubt about it.
Like, she phenomenal, outstanding
best player in our
at
house,
Auburn.
and it's not even
close. WNBA. Did she ever have coaching aspirations? Did you guys ever have to have that discussion about who gets to coach, whose time is taking precedent over the other?
So it's funny you ask. So I'll give you a funny synopsis on how we wound up where we are. She was playing in the WNBA and coaching at Auburn at the same time as I was coaching. So the WNBA, she was with the New York Liberty at first, and then she got traded to the Portland Fire. Well, in the offseason, that was the summer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In the offseason, she was a full-time assistant coach at Auburn when I was coaching there. Now, here was the problem. I'm doing my work and doing scout reports. She hated scouting reports. So now here comes the baby. Will you do mine? I've been up 10 hours doing my scouting reports. I can't do mine and yours. So she decided that she loved middle school, high school, and she didn't like the recruiting. She didn't like the scouting. She just wanted to teach the younger kids. So when we were in Tallahassee, she was on staff, and they went to the state finals. But she found out the hard way, I don't like this college stuff. I like high school and middle school. So that's how we made the decision.
Yeah, that couldn't have been easy either. If there for a little bit, if you thought that you were both going to be coaching, that's a whole different beast.
I went 2 years where I slept 2 hours a night because I was doing her scout report.
But Kyle, what about Carrie? How did she...
Jumper's broke. No jumper there, but she makes a hell of a lasagna. So, but she was a runner in college, in high school. And we dated through high school and college. And she's been through this journey the whole way. And, and like CY said, though, is sometimes the only person that loves you, but it's also the same person that talks you off the cliff too.
Yeah.
Gets some serious back to reality here, and God bless him, because it's one of the hardest jobs in the world, is being a coach's wife, taking care of the household, the kids and honestly, it's as close to being a single parent as you can possibly be for about 10 months out of the year. Now with Portal, everything else, about 11 and a half. But just very thankful for her and how her approach is, and I do know, I can read the signs now after being together, married 18 years, and I do know I've overstayed my welcome when she says, aren't you supposed to be recruiting sometime soon? So I've been moving stuff in the house too much. My ideas aren't working, so we need to get on the road and go recruiting a little bit. But it's definitely a team effort, and the camaraderie is great, because as we all know, through marriage, it's awesome to have it as a young age, but becomes an unbelievable friendship and companionship as life goes on. Chasing around kids every single day, a 12-year-old, 9-year-old. I didn't know you could be a professional Uber driver and not get paid, but that's what we are right now. So, but very appreciative of her, and and our house is open. We got guys, not just those kids, but our kids, and we got our players that come to the house and hang out. And it was funny. We had Caleb Grill was at the house one day, and Tatum had my daughter, she's 9, had 2 of her friends over. She's like, hey, I want to go to the pool. So we go to the pool, and Caleb's like, I was like, hey, man, this is some great birth control right here. You want to come and see what happens to her dad, So he comes and sits with me, and then the mom comes over like a couple of days later. She goes, I just want you to know I got a 13-year-old son that's very upset. I said, what's that? He goes, I come in the house, or my daughter come in the house saying, yeah, Coach Smithpeters had one of his players at the pool with him, and my son comes, who was it? Who was it? A grill? A grill? You don't even know what you got going on right now. You don't even appreciate this. You get to hang out with Caleb Grill at the pool. So, we constantly got movement, and it's a circus, but it's a great circus to be part of, through and through.
That's awesome.
I'm going to tell you, I've been married now 25 years, and we were together 3 before we got married. We have 4 children. Our oldest played at the University of North Carolina. She's now in grad school. We're very proud of her. She wants to be an AD.
All right.
And so she's working at the University of North Carolina in their athletic department, getting her master's in sports administration. And then our baby daughter plays at Auburn, wears her mama's number. And
Audia, is that her name?
Audia, yep. She's number 21. And her mom gave her permission to wear it.
Oh, wow.
And so it was a beautiful thing for our family. And then I have 2 sons who play at South Kent Prep in Connecticut, which is like a power prep school. So they're flying back and forth home all the time. But my saving grace has been my oldest just got engaged, and we have a grandbaby.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes, we have a grandbaby. He's 8 months. And so now, since I had the grandbaby, my wife, she's like, go do what you want to do. I'm going to North Carolina. She's on the Zoom with him. She's on FaceTime. She's sending stuff back and forth. That grandbaby hits different, so that's taking a lot of pressure off me. She's always going to see the grandbaby in North Carolina.
So are you grandpa, papa?
I think I'm going to be grandpa.
Okay.
I'm trying to get him to say it. He been saying mama and Gigi, but he hadn't said grandpa yet. So I've been working with him every day, though.
Yeah. What were the games like with the young family when you've got 4 that play basketball and then your wife, outstanding player?
A lot of fights.
Yeah.
A lot of breaking up. Very competitive family, and my wife is probably the most competitive. Iron really sharpen iron in our house. I told them when they were young, most people come up to me and said, did you make your kids play basketball? I said, I told them, if you don't play basketball in a young house, you got to go find somewhere to live. That's the only way we knew to teach them life. So they all love it. I was blessed. They love it. They work hard on it. They supposed to quit a long time ago. As hard as I am on them, and my wife is on them.
Yeah.
So they have to love it to continue to do it.
Yeah.
But again, the life lessons that have come out of it has been phenomenal for my 2 daughters and my 2 sons, and we're proud of them, what they're doing.
That's awesome. Are we gonna dive right in?
I think we're ready.
Okay, so we do like a lightning round at the end, and we got 5 questions. Now you're both gonna have to answer the same questions, but you can't just repeat what the other what the other
Okay.
person
See
is.
why you're
Unless
first.
it's true.
Unless it's absolutely
Unless
true,
it's
but I don't know
absolutely
if it
true.
will
Yeah,
be
but
for
don't
any of
cop
these.
out.
Okay.
Don't cop out.
All right. We're gonna alternate.
I was gonna say, do you want to go first? Because I think you want the last
Oh,
one.
I do want the last one. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll go with the odd question. All right, what is the best meal in Columbia? We're not necessarily the best restaurant, but your favorite meal in Columbia. You've had 2.5 years now, so you've got.
I'm
plenty
gonna
of-
have to go with 2 different spots. Can I get a tie?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Love Murray's deep fried peppers.
Oh, those
Sure,
are
that
rings.
was
Yeah.
mind blowing to me there. And then Sophia's has their spicy sausage and chicken, dish.
I
That's
absolutely love
it's
that.
every time I can't get off of it. So those are my 2.
And they're a sponsor, so get out there.
Played that right, huh?
Okay.
You guys
see
trying
why?
to get us in trouble.
No, that's
No.
good. That's good.
So I'm gonna go with Kyle attire.
Okay.
I'm CC's, Chris McDee's.
Okay.
I love both. I get the what they call it, Aunt Jackie's
Okay.
Okay.
at CC's. Chris McDee's. I usually get the lamb chops or the salmon.
Okay.
But then I feel bad for leaving Murray's out because I like the cheese bread and the blackened salmon
that's good.
and broccoli at Murray's. So
We got a lot of restaurants.
All right,
in
now I'm
Columbia, man.
hungry.
It's like that's a
Where
tough
does
one.
all that food go, though?
you know
Like,
what? I guess
We're all envious, trust me. So it just sheds off of them, just
I just-
sweats it off.
I guess I just wish that I could do, was it 300 push-ups a day? Really, it would take me like a month to do 300 push-ups.
Oh man, the push-ups do help.
I'm sure they do. I will probably never find out. But, all right, bucket list vacation.
I would have to say with 2 young ones right now. So
They don't have to go.
they don't-
This can be
yes.
you. And
oh
wife.
really? They don't.
In a- in
oh,
a
they ain't
bucket
going.
list.
That's
In a
easy
per-
then.
in a
Yeah,
perfect
let's
world,
do.
bucket list vacation.
They can
do it.
stay at CY's house for the
That's
weekend.
phenomenal. Uncle CY's got them. So we're gonna go to Trinidad and Tobago. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, go down there, hang out. So yeah, I think that's where
Good
to go.
answer. All right, you're up.
What would I say? I'm not very vacation savvy. I haven't taken a lot of them. We used to go to Orlando. I would say for some reason I want to take the kids to London,
Okay.
and then I would say if I could send the kids to Uncle Kyle, I would go with Turks and Caicos.
Okay.
Turk's a good one.
Okay.
Yeah, I hadn't been there.
A couple of beach fans.
Sure.
Yeah, no question. You got to understand that coaching, like a real vacation for us, is doing nothing.
Right.
We
Yes.
want to sit, no
Yes.
cell phones.
I hear you.
Wherever has no. St. Lucia till this day is one of the best vacations I've been on because my cell phone did not work
Oh,
for 6
wow.
days.
no.
So I was not unhappy. It's bad when we got off the plane, but it was really good for 6 days.
Yeah. All right. Best advice you've ever been given.
Best advice: don't settle.
Mm-hmm.
Don't settle. I think that can attribute to a lot of things. Like I said earlier, I think it's very important to judge where your comfort level is.
Yeah.
I think comfort can be very dangerous. So try not to settle.
Did that come from anyone specifically?
I was a history major is what I ended up doing. I want to say that quote, maybe Marcus Aurelius or somebody
Okay.
like that. So it's one of my philosophy
There you go.
classes, history classes. So always stuck with it, but it's very true to try to know where that comfort level needs to stop
Yes.
to continue growing.
I would say two different things from the same person.
Okay.
God bless her dad, my grandma Inez Young. She used to tell me all the time, baby, the more you give, the more you receive. That was a huge thing with her. So I'm not gonna say two.
Okay.
I would say that was one.
Okay.
She had me another one that I'm gonna keep, but the more you give, the more you receive. No, I'll say it.
Okay.
Honor thy mother and father, for thy days shall be long.
There you go.
Those were her two big ones.
Those are good. Those are
Yeah.
good.
Okay, originally I was just going to say to play, but we will also say coach since you both have illustrious coaching careers. Toughest arena to play or coach in?
Good one. I have to say in the SEC, Auburn was tough. It's just different. It's small. It's a
Small but
different-
loud.
Yeah, it's just a different setup, I think, than what we're used to. So, and then of all of my experiences, the one that still sticks out to me the most is playing at the Pit at New Mexico.
Oh,
Man, that was wild. That's one of the best intros I've ever seen. When they freak you out before the game with your, what is it, 6,200 feet above, sea level, and you experiencing lightheadedness and all. I'm sitting there looking at, our guys are done. Like we're not winning this ball game. So, but I thought that was a very interesting place to play.
Wow, I'm gonna show my age.
That's good. That's fine. 1900s.
Yeah. I'm gonna show my age. So I would say, as a player, the toughest environment I ever played was when Nick Van Exel was leading Cincinnati and Bob Huggins. They were number one in the country.
Yeah.
Okay.
We played them. The place was bonkers.
Mm-hmm.
And then as a coach, I've been in a ton of them. I've been in a ton of them. But I would say Nolan Richardson's 40 Minutes of Hell, Arkansas.
Okay.
When I was at Auburn.
Yeah.
It was, and Duke is tough when I was in the ACC with Cameron Crazies. And, Auburn, Arkansas, Tennessee, tough now. But Nolan Richardson's 40 Minutes of Hell, that was the toughest one I've ever coached in. Like, you couldn't hear yourself think.
Yeah.
And they're good now. I mean, it was tough.
Sure.
Now, but it wasn't. It wasn't.
No,
it's
that's-
nothing like.
Because like the
Nolan
style of
Richardson.
play fed off of the
Yes.
environment and vice versa. Yeah.
The energy was through the roof. You couldn't hear anything, and it was really 40 minutes of hell.
Yeah, there's no time to catch your breath or get your players' attention.
It was
and-
nonstop.
Yeah.
It was nonstop.
And I felt too that even at Fayetteville the last 2 years, that's one of that was been the loudest games we've played in the last couple of years. With playing Musselman down there, so it's an incredible facility.
Kyle, I thought you would say the noon games you played with producer Steve back,
Man,
back in the day.
Man, I tell you what, set a great screen, that's for sure.
It's a
He
throwback
kept it
Thursday.
together. We had had a guy, Casey Hale, man, he'd just be happy when he passed the ball every once in a while. So I'm sure he'll be happy I said that. No. I tell you what though, you go back to some of those junior college days. You go play at Robinson, Illinois, at Lincoln Trail at 3:00 on a Saturday. Get your guys motivated to go to Lincoln Trail, play Junesy Cotton. Man, I tell you that never was easy.
Yeah.
I coached junior college in Kansas, so I know.
Oh
where
man,
you're
you know the
coming
Jayhawk
from.
through and through. Then yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No, I was not a Jayhawk.
No, the Jayhawk League. Sorry.
League.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yes.
No. Your house is not being burned down.
We
No,
bleep
oh my
that.
God.
We bleep that
So,
word
yeah.
out on this
I
podcast.
didn't know what to do.
You notice I didn't say this as one of the toughest places. to
I
play.
did notice. No,
Didn't
you
even
Nope.
acknowledge.
No.
it.
get
Nope.
extra credit
Nope.
for it.
Nope.
You get extra credit. Okay. Last question. We had Brad Luce in here a couple weeks ago, and he gave a phenomenal answer for this. So pressure's on. What's the most memorable technical foul you've received as a player or coach?
Oh wow.
I was waiting for Kyle to say I've never gotten
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, I don't know how many of these games are on stream. I need to check the stream. I could say 0, maybe get away with it. I'm not sure, but I think my first year I got one. It was the first one I got, and it was an older referee who was a great guy, and I kind of I'm gonna say he missed it. I didn't miss many calls. I was the coach, but
Right.
Kind of barked at him down the sidelines. He turned around, and popped me right. I just remember looking at the coach down the way, who was much older, been doing it for a whole long time. The grin on his face just knew, they got the young guy. And I just remember learning very quickly, like, how this really works.
Yeah.
And, that was very memorable. That first one, really hard to forget, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I got in a little dust up against Georgia State or Mercer when I was a player.
player.
And then as a coach, I only got one. And I vowed not that. My kids were sitting right behind the bench, and they saw me spaz, and they were crying, take Daddy to jail. I kicked the door open like James Brown, though. I got my money's worth. It was against, like, Bruton Parker or something like that.
Oh,
Like
boy.
one of those early games. And I don't know what I was thinking, but
Oh.
I was out of my mind.
That's
But I did get my money's worth. I only got one.
Yeah.
I got my money's worth.
Well,
We
lesson
went
learned.
on a 25-0 run.
There we go.
So
So,
that's
Won the game. That's it, man.
It was strategic.
Turn it around.
It
There
was
you go.
strategic.
you got that play in your back pocket if you ever
Yes.
need it again.
Had to wake
Okay.
my guys up and
Okay.
kind of neutralize the officials.
There you go. All right. So here's how we end this. Brody, pass these over. Sorry. You get to officially join the Wall of Fame.
Wall of Fame.
Oh, nice.
All right, so you guys get to actually come over here. You pin up your photo yourself.
hit the table.
Ooh, I'm going to try hard not to.
No, this thing is not very sturdy. So
defensive
if it
stance.
falls, if it falls, we're in trouble.
Are those blue light glasses? You have like
Oh, man, let me see.
I just pick a spot.
Anywhere you want,
light.
but it's
Kinda
very,
does look like it.
it's a little delicate.
If it costs more, I definitely didn't do it. So.
There you go.
It's a good idea here.
We're running out of space.
Way better than the picture Tim had about 2 weeks ago.
That was
It's
weird.
no longer Facebook friends. just so
You're good,
for the
you're good.
record. He's been deleted.
I enjoy that trend.
That was a prom pic. No, it was a wedding picture.
It is a wedding picture.
Yeah, it was looking pretty good.
Oh, man. Oof.
Well, I could have done some Facebook sleuthing for these photos, but I just went straight generic coaching photos.
I owe
You're
you
actually
lunch, Dave.
you're dressed
We do
exactly alike.
appreciate that.
You guys are lucky that you're all over the internet, though. Sometimes I have to like friend wives on social media and ask them questions, and
They're going to give you the right answer for sure. So
no
probably a
corner
lot
left
quicker.
unturned.
Well, this was a lot of fun, guys. It was great having both of you in here and trying to interweave your stories a little
Yeah.
bit and give you a chance to tell it. So, really excited about the season and can't wait to tip things off here in a couple weeks.
Well, we appreciate you guys. MIZ.
ZOU.
Thanks for having us.
Yep.
This episode of Mizzou Storytellers on the Inside Mizzou Athletics podcast is brought to you by Shelter Insurance. Ranked number 1 in customer satisfaction for auto insurance in the Central Region by J.D. Power 5 out of the last 6 years. We're your shield. We're your shelter.
That was a lot of fun.
That was
Great
really fun.
conversation.
That was just so cool to hear two totally different stories.
Yeah.
But then they ended up in the same place.
Yeah, and I was a little worried. We were a little worried just about how are we going to do this with our normal format with two people who come from very different backgrounds and different histories and different coaching stories. But we figured it out.
We
I
are
think.
professionals. We were trained by the best journalism school in the world.
There you go. There you
Yeah.
go. And these guys have known each other, not necessarily a really long time, but when you're around each other that much, I think they kind of fed off of each other as
Yeah.
they were telling their stories, and both of them are great. I really enjoy both of them. I even when I was on the media side, CY is like I could sit in here for hours and talk to him, listen
Yep.
to him tell stories. He's just a natural.
There's something he talked about, emotions
Mm-hmm.
and having to be level and keep peace all the time. And I think not only is that a characteristic of their whole staff,
Yeah.
but I think that's what it is. He just brings a calm to the
Mhm.
room. They all do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's funny. I didn't mention it in the podcast, but we were or in the interview. But like when they all got here, each one of them, and including Coach Nutt here, they all had more years of head coaching experience than Coach Gates did. Isn't that
Yeah.
pretty interesting?
I think I remember reading that
Yeah.
maybe in an article written by you.
I might have written that. Yeah. But it just dawned on me that it takes it takes something special in your head coach to be able to like kind of put the ego aside and say, hey, I need the help. These guys have coached, at this level, maybe not necessarily this level at Mizzou and the SEC, but it's just a great staff. That's what I say when people ask me all the time, like, what do you think about basketball this season? I always just say, hey, it's a great staff.
They're
Really
yes.
good people. They'll figure it out because, he put together and went and found different coaches, different backgrounds, different people, but together they're just a really neat group.
And then mixed in, just like they said, just enough young staff to balance that out. So not only are they bringing a fresh, new perspective from a different generation, but
Yeah.
they're also getting to learn and be mentored by these former coaches, these
Absolutely.
former head coaches.
Yeah. So great to have them in here, and I think fans will really get a kick out of that. We should say October 26th is the exhibition game against Lincoln.
Yep.
As we're recording this, we don't know the time yet because it depends on the time of the football game against Alabama.
Correct, which is also not confirmed yet.
As we're recording
Yes.
this, as you're listening to this, you probably do know the time.
That game may have already
So
happened
figure
by the
it
time
out.
you're listening
yeah,
to this.
yeah, it could be. And then the first regular season game, November 4th, at Memphis, and then more important for our sake here in Columbia is the home opener, November 8th against Howard.
November 8th.
Yeah, a lot going on that weekend. Big football game the next day.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're getting way ahead of ourselves.
I mean, but speaking of football,
yes,
football weather is finally here.
it finally it took long enough.
This is like my happy place
Yeah,
where I can put on like a hoodie or I love a good vest.
yeah.
And I just get all like cozied up and I don't feel like I'm sweating more than I'm enjoying myself at a football game,
Yeah.
we're here.
There's nothing better than a good vest. I'm laughing because I get in trouble at home because I have an assortment of vests, and they all work for Mizzou because most of them are black. My wife has one that it's unisex, but it fits me better than it fits her, so I wear it all the time. She accuses me of wearing her vest.
I have
Anyway,
a sweatshirt like that Dave wears more than I do.
it happens. I
And
mean,
I
it's
remember
like
the first time he wore it, he said, "Hey, is this a women's sweatshirt?" I was like, "Yeah, but does it really matter? It's a hoodie."
yeah. I mean, I do think the vest I wear might be a woman's, but it fits me. It
Like
fits
Michael
me fine.
Scott. Like,
I was just gonna say Michael Scott.
I mean,
Pants have no pockets, Mike.
it's just snug. It's a better cut. It's not as boxy as the men's one I have. But yeah, who doesn't love
yeah,
a
it's
nice
nice and
vest?
fitted at the waist.
I mean, come on. It's from like the Gap. It doesn't matter. It could be men's, women's. Doesn't matter. Kids.
Would you say that you're invested in this weather?
Yeah,
wow.
great. I want to ask you:
go.
are your kids? Your kids aren't quite old enough to be in this realm yet, but my teenagers, they refuse to wear a coat. We've had this conversation before.
Yeah.
Your kids are the same way.
Yeah. My son refuses to wear pants, but most boys now do.
So that, yeah,
Well,
that's
he wears shorts. He just doesn't
Excuse
like
me. Yes,
long-
he does wear clothing.
producer Steve's son is
Yes.
not leaving the house
No,
without pants on.
He's not that feral. But no, yeah, coats and sleeves is a challenge, and if it's anywhere near 50, it's like, oh, it's fine. I don't need any sleeves. It's like, well, you're gonna get sick. And then I realize I'm just turning into my dad, and then just all that kind of stuff. It's
I like a good coat, a good blazer, if you
Good
will.
blazer.
I don't think the 14-year-olds are into those, but like they have lockers at their school, and I'm like, just put your coat in your locker. Like, I don't know.
have time.
I don't know the combination. Like, well, is it just empty? Like, I've never opened it.
What?
Yeah, they just carry everything with them everywhere.
But see, nowadays kids, they have lockers when they're in kindergarten.
Yeah,
they
they
get
do.
used to it. And maybe this is just me. I went to private schools when I was
Oh,
younger.
okay. Well, so did
So-
I. I shouldn't say that.
I don't know. I'm like, what are you doing? You did too.
I did.
But yeah.
Yeah, I like the fact that now a lot of my clothes that I had for all my time, like in the media, I can't wear anymore. I can't wear them to work because they're not.
They don't fit?
No,
They
they're
don't-
like the wrong
I don't
color.
know.
They're red or they're blue.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm more. Obviously I have a lot of the Mizzou stuff, but then just the neutral colors.
Right.
Yeah, you got to find those.
It's always a good day for me when I go into Kohl's and the fall colors are like that mustard yellow and black
Yes.
and tan and camel.
You get the Kohl's Cash.
I do. My mother-in-law is a big Kohl's Cash fan.
You don't have to apologize.
No, I'm not apologizing.
You have 3 children.
What I do apologize
All the
for is
same age.
I completely forget about it,
Oh yeah,
and I'll find it later. I'm like, oh, this expired 2 months ago. Oh well.
yeah,
Yeah.
it happens.
No, my kids get their clothes at Target.
Oh, come on. My kids now they order their own clothes off of like TikTok, or like the ones that have like the ads and the
Kids are on
stuff.
Your kids are on TikTok?
Yeah, they're 14.
TikTok shop.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a thing.
And something will come in the mail. I'm like, what is? I didn't order this. I'm like, oh, I did. Yeah, it's another hoodie.
How do they pay for it?
They have a green light card.
What's that?
It's like Venmo for kids, kind of. You just set up we can transfer
have-
money
I-
about a
my
bank
kids
account
actually have
into
that, too.
theirs. Yeah, it's like a debit card for kids.
That's how we do their allowance.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go way off topic here. We've talked about allowance at home, Dave and I have. And we are firm believers that you're not going to get paid to do anything you should be doing anyway. So we do not give the kids any allowance money for cleaning their bathroom or their bedroom. You need to do that anyway.
Yeah.
But if they help out in the yard, if they go help
yeah,
pick up
if they-
walnuts, or if I need the basement cleaned,
Wait, pick up walnuts?
we have a
You have a gigantic walnut tree?
Yeah,
That's
we
okay.
do.
Okay.
We do. They pick up
Yeah,
walnuts
yeah.
for Robux.
What about it?
That's what they do. That's still exciting for them. They still also they don't really have a concept of money yet.
Oh yeah.
$50 sounds like a lot to them. So
It is.
So $5
How old are they again?
sounds
9?
reasonable. 8.
They're 8. Yeah.
8.
Yeah. But they have no older siblings, so they don't know any different.
Yeah.
Did I'll ask this offline. Never mind. It was
We'll
unrelated.
circle back on it.
We'll circle. Yeah. When producer Steve hits stop,
Yeah.
I'll ask.
Though sometimes I think he tricks us. He doesn't hit stop and he records conversations.
Be careful.
Got
careful.
blackmailing all of our
We
guests.
don't need the
Okay.
blooper reel to come out at the end of the year. That's for
Not a
sure.
bad idea.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, like the end of the year podcast Christmas party, holiday party. Excuse me.
I would love that.
It would be
I
fun.
would love that. I've got some fun little Christmas cocktails.
We could bring all of our guests in from the year.
All of them.
Yeah.
All of
Well,
them.
we got a lot.
We need a bigger room.
Got a couple of head coaches that won't join us, but that's okay. We've got a few more that will. Who else do we have to? So head coaches,
Coach Pinchton.
Coach Pinchton, Caroline Westrup.
Coach Tarati, Bianca Tarati.
Our head football coach, Coach Drink,
Coach Drinkwitz. Coach Gates.
Coach Gates. I think that's it.
Yeah, unless we want to be technical and we say our head cross country coach.
Oh, Kyle. Yeah, Kyle
Yeah.
Ledmore. Yeah, we could do that.
But otherwise, I think we've gotten them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And some of our superstars.
Got some former coaches.
Stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we have talked enough. Coach Smith has a new headshot, by the way. He retired the one from the 1900s. It's a big news, big development.
He was killing me. And then when he called me a baby when he came in, he's like, "Oh, you're just a baby." He's only like 10 years older than me.
See why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. At what age do you start feeling you are just infinitely older than everyone younger than you?
I haven't hit that yet. I don't know.
Okay.
No.
Let me know. You'll get there
No,
before
I
I
do.
do. So let me know.
For our staffs in the arena, I definitely feel older. They'll ask me questions about like what were the early 2000s like. Yeah.
You know, the game I don't like to play is Where Were You on September 11th?
Oh well.
And
Does anyone like that game?
No, but because it's like, oh man, yeah, I remember that. Like, I was actually here in historic Hearns in the
Yes.
field house at volleyball practice, and then a coworker will say, yeah, I remember they took our kindergarten class to the gym, and I'm like, oh god.
We were talking because a lot of the people at MSP have kids, and we were talking about Cars, like the movie Cars and stuff,
okay.
and we have a guy on our staff. He was like, "Oh yeah, I loved Cars. It was awesome." We were like, "What are you watching Cars for?" He's like, "Cause I was like 8 when it came out, and it was like right up my alley. It was my jam." And we were just like, "Oh man."
We're gonna get to a point where the youngins aren't even gonna be like, "What's a movie theater?
Yeah,
Can I just watch it on my phone?
yeah.
Why would you go somewhere?"
Huge
I've
fan
hit
of
that
movie
point
theaters.
in adulthood or parenthood. I don't know what it is, where I've obviously seen like all the kids' movies that are out.
Mm-hmm.
I've missed so many actual movies that I would probably enjoy better. And we'll be talking at work, and somebody will say something about a kid's movie. I think it was like Inside Out 2. And I was like, "Oh my god, it's so good." They're like, "Oh, I haven't seen it yet." I'm like, "You haven't seen it?"
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
why would my 29-year-old coworker sit down and watch Inside Out
the
by
last-
himself?
That's the last movie I saw at the theater.
Was it really?
It was, yeah.
It was a good one.
Sadly, I can't remember what
We've
mine
all
was.
seen it,
You
yeah.
know why? Because we streamed it at home. We waited till it
yeah.
came out on streaming.
I went to Beetlejuice last week.
Oh, was that good?
Yeah, it was awesome. Holds up.
One of my
I
kids
want to
saw
see
it.
it. My Amelia loves all those movies. Amelia loves Tim Burton. Like Nightmare Before Christmas, I think is her favorite movie.
Oh,
Yeah. I think Edward Scissorhands is the next one that I will
ooh,
introduce
that's
her
a little
to.
dark.
Well, she doesn't seem to bother her.
Okay, well, not yet. We'll just wait.
Well, yeah.
Well, Halloween's right around the corner.
Right?
Hopefully, this is
Look at you
you're
with the
listening to this
smooth transition.
before Halloween. Are your children? Do they have their costume?
Yes. So Roger is getting that like inflatable thing where it looks like he's riding an alien.
Okay.
You know, I
Oh,
have you guys
yeah,
seen
those
those?
are good
Where
ones.
it's like it looks like his legs are hanging off the front. The girls have gone through about 12 iterations of ideas.
Yeah.
But they want to do something together. They're at that age now. They want to do everything together.
Oh, well, enjoy it. Well, you got it.
Well, they didn't have it when they were little, so now they're like
Oh,
doing
they-
it organically.
Okay.
So the most recent one was one of them would be a cookie, the other one would be a glass of milk. Until Dave decided that he wanted to ask them if they wanted to be the twins from The Shining.
My kids were that.
I said, "What are you doing? Why?" And they said, "What's that? What's that?" And instead of just showing them a picture, he
Look-
finds the movie clip online and shows them.
Yeah.
That is quite like, you talk about Edward Scissorhands being dark.
I will
talk about flashing back and forth between the twins standing there and then being covered in blood in the hallway.
I will show you when we're done here. My kids, my boys, when they were, I think, in 4th grade, they were the Shining twins. Yeah. It was dark.
And the girls were like, well, I don't know. And he said, well, you guys have to pick a costume. I said, they did pick a costume. You changed it.
Wow. Are you going? Do you dress up?
I like to. I don't know what yet. We originally were, so this, in one of the iterations, we were all going to be characters from SpongeBob SquarePants.
Oh, yeah.
And then that changed. So now Dave and I are probably just going to get something together. I think we kind of copped out last year and did peanut butter and jelly.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Nurse Molly always. Why am I calling her that then?
Because that's what she is.
She's always dreamed of all 5 of us going together in some thematic costume, but now the old ones are just too old to buy into that.
Roger refuses. He's our outlier.
Yeah. Will Matter's gonna be Slappy, the dummy from Goosebumps.
I love that is coming back.
Yeah, well.
I read all those books when I was a
We'll
kid.
ring your doorbell on October 31st.
Please do.
You can see that version.
Actually, I won't be. No, because I usually go around with the kids.
Yeah.
We're one of those houses that puts I put out like this cool little table. I like bag up treats. Like, I love Halloween.
We are in sort of the same neighborhood, but do you have any neighbors that put out like treats for adults?
Yes. Well, so one of our neighbors down the street, their daughter's birthday is Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And so they actually put up a tent and they have everybody in the neighborhood over and their family and friends, and they cook chili and hot dogs, and they take everybody for a hayride around the neighborhood.
Uh-huh.
So
there's a house around the corner that does their own like mulled wine.
Ooh.
Yeah, out of like a crock pot.
All right, we'll have to talk about which house that is.
Yeah.
Because we ended up on your street trick-or-treating last year, I remember.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Interesting. I think Nurse Molly wants to go as the Kelsey brothers, me and her.
Oh, I love that so much.
Yeah, I don't know how we're going to pull that off.
Please tell me you're Jason.
I think she wanted to be Jason.
Okay.
She wanted to be like his costume when he was dancing on the stage.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
With the beads.
Yeah.
And, that would be good.
I'm spoiling this for everybody in the Highlands right now. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we're done for
so.
today. Have we said enough?
Yeah, another successful episode.
I thought so. I think we're getting there. You know what they say? They say that everyone has a beautiful story to tell as long as you ask the right questions. This is Mizzou Storytellers.
I'm Loretta Jones.
I'm Dave Matter.
We'll talk to you next week. Because we don't do it every week, and I was like,
Was there a question mark?
Yeah, I'm Ron Burgundy.